being old, man. God damn, just getting old suck. Shit just doesn't work like it used to. And it's crazy. I just put the Trump out there to see what would happen. Because it seems like it's really hard to get people can have a conversation about this. Like, I so badly want to hear from Trump supporters now. Trump's the one saying he won't do the third debate. Why is Trump the one saying he won't do another? Like, does he not realize? Like, that's actually it. He does know how bad it makes him look, but nothing would make him look as bad as another debate would. So it's like Israel when they'd rather, you know, they'd rather attack a funeral than have a funeral procession with people, you know, carrying flags and singing songs and whatnot. To them, it's worth it to be known as funeral attackers as long as the other side doesn't happen. And I absolutely would love to hear from the Trump supporters. I mean, I can't. How are you not embarrassed? And I still, why is the Trump shooting not being Route 91? Where is the like, is it really that much of the conspiracy, you know, truther world? Are Trump supporters that all the people that normally do documentaries about these fake shootings, none of them are doing it? I mean, if I had any sort of editing skill or anything like that, if I knew how to, what the fuck is that pit bull out there? That's fucked up. If I knew, I'm glad my wife isn't here. She'd be stopping to do something about it. I don't understand. I don't understand, like, Trump is easily the most embarrassing what the fuck? Candidate. Couldn't think of the word. Most embarrassing candidate of all time. I just, what could you possibly support? What could you possibly be proud of still? I don't get it. The whole, it would be like if it was still Biden and they went to do the thing and Biden got out there and started doing cartwheels and shit. You'd be like, wait, I thought you were supposed to be old. You know, I thought the whole thing was that Trump was the young spry one and Biden was old. You'd be confused, and that's, you know, Trump's whole thing. The whole Trump supporter thing is that Kamala was stupid. She's stupid. She slept her way to the top. She's not smart. You know, blah blah blah. And then she goes out there and just destroys him. I mean, what are the pundits even holding on to? What are they saying? Like, how is anybody even spinning this to make Trump look good? I can't see it. I don't. What part? You know, like now. At the same time, as always, it's all bullshit. It doesn't fucking matter. I was convinced Trump was gonna win. I was convinced Trump was gonna win, and you know, that led into the next phase, right? Like, when you look at the 100-year cycle and how bringing about another recession and depression and all that, like, we're following the footsteps. The 2009, 8-9, you know, recession, that happened in 1909 too. They did the same thing. or 1908, 1909, same general time. And I just I you know I thought it was gonna. So I don't see how Trump could win the election now. Again, I just can't. I don't know. I don't know. It's too hard. It's too hard to find supporters. I can't find anyone that supports Trump and is proud of it. So it's become like a really difficult thing here. Like, and yet I see so much negative Harris propaganda bullshit, and it's crazy of stuff where like this narrative that's like absolutely Harris is gonna do, she's an Israeli puppet, but she's actually gotten in trouble for saying some shit in the past, not saying stuff like earth-shattering or anything, but she's still gotten in trouble. And I've seen a lot of this stuff where they're acting like if Harris is elected president, that's going to be bad for Israel or bad for Palestine. And I just can't, like, if you're a pro-Palestinian, this, that, and the other, it's such a weird, so not pro-Palestine. But anyway you slice it, Trump is all about Israel. I don't know how. I don't get it. It's frustrating. The two people that are here, you don't have an opinion? Nothing to say? I mean, I know I'm an old man. Look at how old I am. I'm old. But don't you have an opinion? It's shocking to me to find people with opinions that are willing to. I thanks for the like, whoever sent the like my way. Thanks, appreciate it. I don't understand this. I'm so fucking confused. Suddenly we have 4 people here. Right on. If you're watching, share the feed, man. Let's have a real discussion about this. I'd love to hear from Trump supporters. Love it. That would be my Trump, Israel supporters, whichever bullshit you support, I want to hear from you. I want to know what people have to say. That's the thing is I'm not fooling myself. Right? Like, I don't think Biden, I don't think Harris is any good. Long time no see, and I would never support Donald. Good. Vedra, be me. Vedra. Thank you for being here. Long time no see. I go live almost every day. I mean, I've been pulling back a little bit lately, but I'm still going. I'm still going live on Facebook. I still have a Facebook page with 6,400 following. That when I go live, no one's there. So if you haven't seen me, if you haven't seen my notification, it's not like I'm not doing it. It's that they're not letting you see me. And see, the thing is, you said no way I would support Donald. But you don't fall for the Harris side, do you? I mean, it's crazy because this is the prime example of, lesser of two evils. I'd much rather have Harris in office than I would Trump. I'd rather have Biden in office. I'd rather have just about anybody in office than Trump. Trump seems to empower stupidity and racism and you know it. It's like if stupid people are a completely different race, then they want one of theirs up. You know, they look, we made it. I'd vote for Bush other than Trump. I mean, yeah, honestly, yeah, probably. It's phenomenal how crazy it is. And again, what I don't understand, why isn't there more of an investigation? Where is the truther side of things looking into the shooting? The shooting is the Trump shooting is quite possibly, like, I'm trying to compare it to something else. Like, I'm trying to compare it to something else where it was so fucking obvious and then they made it disappear right away too. Like I think she speaks with conviction. She's good at her job. She's a great actress. No doubt about it. She's great. As far as females go, as far as people of color go, like, you know, as far as those firsts, she's the first, she's a great rep. I would, as far as females go, first female president, I'd much rather have Kamala than Hillary. Like, I think she represents women better than Hillary, than the chick that stuck by the guy that fucked, you know, the interns and shoved cigars in their pussies and shit like that. But I'll go to my grave thinking that Hillary Clinton was a beard, was just a you know, she was playing a role, and the person they needed someone that was willing to play the wife role for Bill Clinton while he was out banging everything he could, and who else other than a lesbian that wouldn't touch him anyway? You know, but again, to me, all of this it's weird because I find myself getting wrapped up in the discussions, and then I get mad at myself. Because at the end of the day, like, the presidency and all that, it's all just bullshit. It's all just something for us to look at. For us to look at and feel like we have an opinion and feel like we have representation and that we make a difference, we have a choice. That's all the president's there for. The president has no real power. You know, they're just hood ornaments. You know, that's all it is. You know, and thinking that because the president, because the hood ornament changes, that changes other shit, like deeper, that doesn't change anything. You know, the Jews still run the show, and they pick, you know, it's selected, not elected. It's, you know, and the thing is, like, that's not a Guy Williams quote. That's not even like an Alex Jones quote. That's like a Thomas Jefferson quote or some shit. Joe does a great job. Some of the things he has promised. Joe's done it. Oh, Joe's. Joe hasn't done a great job. Joe's presidency, the presentation that we've been given has done a good job. But they had to. What they've done a really good job with is you know, getting us, pushing amnesia on us, so to speak, right? Like, the average person has completely forgotten where we were in 2019. In 2019, we were, like, the Goyim, the worldwide Goyim, were primed and ready for revolution. There was literally protests happening everywhere else in the world, and the only place that didn't have a lot of big anti-government protests was the United States. We were too busy with Black Lives Matters and stuff like that. We're still much easier to distract than a country full of people that all look alike, right? Anyone in insulin, I'm sure they are thankful. But again, I don't think that's Biden, right? That's this idea that insulin is becoming too expensive. They need to give us something to make us feel like they actually do care about us. Giving out insulin at a lower cost means more people can work. There's more to it than just that. It's just a power play. But we were, from Me Too to Black Lives Matter to just we were done. We were so sick of everything that they had to pull these cards. They had to pull the COVID card. They had to do these things in order to maintain the control, because it's not about taking control. So many people think that like the Illuminati is trying to take over the government or some shit. No. There's never been a time where they weren't in control. And I'm not talking Illuminati, I'm talking the Jews. It's all a lot of bait and switch. It's all a lot of sleight of hand. But it's, you have to remember 2019. So at first we were supposed to be all focused on measles. Remember in 2019, they were trying to get everyone to vaccinate for measles, and it didn't work because we all knew everybody, all of our parents, grandparents, everybody had already had measles, and we know that measles won't kill you. So that campaign didn't work, and the flu campaign didn't work. And once that started falling apart, they had us focused on Michael Jackson. Just got over COVID first time, and it fucking sucked. I mean, you got sick. You didn't get COVID. This is a thing that people just don't understand, right? And it's not even, I'm not saying you don't, it's how we've been programmed, right? We've been programmed. First of all, we believe in germs, right? I guarantee all of you, so I talk about this all the time, but this is what every single person watching me believes this, right? You believe that somehow, some way, patient zero manifested COVID. And once they manifested COVID, it was really a different kind of sick, unlike a cold. Well, it was just like a cold. It just was a little more severe. You had more shit going on. What's up, man? You good? I feel you, brother. Later, man. So all of you believe that whether it's cold, whether it's flu, whether it's COVID, whatever, somebody just manifests it, and then suddenly they are like a COVID producer. They're just spewing out COVID everywhere they go. Every cough, every sneeze, every breath really is full of COVID. But if you cough or sneeze especially, a COVID cloud comes out. Now, if you're in a room where the air is uncirculated, the cloud will just sit there and wait patiently. Or if the room has a fan, it's some sort of circulation. My neighbor told me a sneeze can go as far as 60 feet. So everybody gets affected by the circulation of the air, right? And so what you believe is that this cloud is full of these little invisible, everything's invisible germs. And these germs, by the way, why do we call Germany Germany when they call it Deutschland? Well, it's like pollen. No, it's not. You can see pollen. Right? But that's how you think. You're giving a great example of what you think is happening. And so you believe that the pollen is flying, the pollen, the COVID is flying around. Now, you have to remember, they've basically tricked you into thinking COVID's smart, that viruses, that germs are smart, right? So it's flying around, and when you walk through the cloud or the cloud comes in contact with you, when you breathe, you take it in your nose and or in your mouth, and only when someone coughs on you. No, that's not true. It's not just coughing, it's sneezing, it's all kinds of there's all kinds of COVID sauce, you know. And see, that's the other part of it. Not just the breathing, but you know, somebody does like that, wipes their nose, or somebody sneezes into their hands. Now they have COVID sauce on their hands. Eek. Break time. Got to do it before it gets more expensive. But somebody sneezes, whatever, they have COVID sauce on their hands. So they go and they touch the pen, or they touch the door handle, or they touch, you know, they just drag their hand along the table. When they do that, now COVID sauce is on whatever they touched. And remember, you think COVID is really smart. School just started and everyone gets sick. But again, because you believe in germs, which allows them to control. When they control how you think, what you think is just a byproduct, right? When you believe that there's things like invisible germs out there, then you believe in something like an immune system. So if I ask you, what is your immune system? You don't know. If I say, point to your immune system, you have nothing, right? These are just concepts that you've accepted, and they go hand in hand. You have to believe in an immune system because you believe in germs. You believe in germs because you believe you have an immune system. It's like a circular effect, right? But so this super smart, super awesome COVID or flu or whatever, it now sets up like a little base camp, right? And it's just sitting there waiting. It's waiting on the door handle. It's waiting on the pen. It's waiting on the salt shaker, whatever it is. It's waiting for someone to come touch the same thing. And when you touch that same door handle, that same pen, that same whatever, now the COVID knows. And it grabs onto your hand, and now it's on your hand. And if you're smart enough to wash your hand, then the COVID goes down the drain. But if you happen to touch your face, touch your nose, rub your eye, whatever it is, COVID will jump your hand onto your face and then go run up your nose or your mouth. Again, if you have a strong immune system, I guess it's kind of like ninjas and shit that sit on the inside. You know, then have a good day. Then it'll fight off the invisible germs. But if you don't have an immune system, especially not a strong one that's boosted by the vaccine steroids, well, then you're in some trouble, son. You're going to get sick. You believe that. I know I make it sound stupid, but tell me how it's different than what you believe. You believe the goofiest shit. They have us believing in invisible bad guys all over the place. Most of you don't even think about how much invisible stuff you believe in, right? You believe in invisible germs. You believe in an invisible God and an invisible devil. You believe in invisible meteorites and comets and shit like that can come smash the earth at any time. You believe in an invisible curvature goes around. You don't believe it's the government we can see. No. It's the deep state. It's the invisible, secret deep state government that we can't see. You believe in invisible pole shifts. You believe in invisible dinosaurs. You believe in so many invisible things and you don't even realize it. They have you completely distracted. And I'm distracted. It's completely distracted by all of this nonsense. And there's a fucking genocide happening right now. While our tax dollars are you women and children, you want to talk about the deep state or the bullshit presentation that we're being given. That's the election. Every single one of you, your parents, everybody, the government is corrupt. Politicians are corrupt. And yet when you try to put a face on that shit, then it's like, oh, no, it's not that. By the way, if you're watching, share. Take a second and share this on Facebook. Share it with the headline, holy shit, somebody that's actually not scared to talk about Israel. It's not scared to talk about the Jews. Or share it with the headline, this guy is crazy, come tell him what he's wrong about. I'd love to hear it. I'm not the guy that wants you to sit here and pat me on the back. I want you guys to come tell me what I'm wrong about. I want to learn from you guys, so help me learn. I didn't start off thinking this way. None of this shit is the way I started off thinking or I was told to think. Just about everything in every way I think goes against what I'm supposed to think. So I'd love to hear from you guys. I'd love to hear from you Jesus believers. I'd love to hear from you Trump supporters. I'd love to hear from you Israel supporters. I'd love to hear from you vaccine supporters. I'm a firm believer in Tartaria, but I also know we only know what they allow us to know. And the only way we can ever figure out any of this shit, especially Tartaria, is if we overthrow the Jews that control our narrative, that control our perspective and our history and all that shit. This narrative that we have is bullshit. But to me, as much as I'm fascinated by it, as much as I love talking about it, it's pointless. It's pointless. I only know what they've allowed us to know. We can sit here and argue about either side of it, but it doesn't matter. Neither one of us know any of it. We just like this argument better than that argument. And that's all it ever comes down to. People believe what they like, not what, not what goes against their grain, but the evidence is there. See, I made the mistake of asking people to share it. If I ask you to share it, then the view count drops for some strange reason. But it's crazy, like, to think about, like, that the person here, Vedra. I'm sure how to say it. That viruses and stuff like that, they work like pollen. Do you know how crazy that is? Comparing something you can see to something you can't see. And I know you'll be like, dude, come on, science, science, science. It's like most of you don't understand how the religion of science works. The cult of science. Science isn't all about people that go against the narrative. Science is about the people that prove the narrative that's given, or at least attempt to. But the fact that, like, gravity is the constant, is like the number one sort of glue that holds all of their bullshit together. and there's no way of testing for it or anything like that. It's just this invisible force. There's another one of those invisibles you believe in. You believe in invisible gravity. It's strange. It's strange. It's strange how they've convinced us to be so distracted by shit we can't know. Right? We can't know the shape of the earth in our current situation. We have to rely on the system to tell us that. We can't know what happens after we die because nobody's died and fucking come back and been like, well, I was dead for 3 weeks, but I came back. It was great. We have to believe what we're told. And most of us, like, you don't realize this at all, but literally, you only know what is in your world, in your little fucking couple mile radius that you live in. You know, yeah, you have friends and you talk to them and this, that, and the other. But again, these are small little pieces in this puzzle. You have no idea. You have no idea what's going on. You have no idea about the past. You have no idea about any of it. It's all just shit we're told, and we're told under duress. If you don't regurgitate this when asked, you'll get bad grades. You'll be ostracized. You'll lose your job. Whatever it may be. We better not find out that you don't believe in Jesus. We better not find out that you don't think the earth is a round ball flying through space. And the craziest part is how difficult it is to talk to people about these things. You know, for me, I feel like I'm speaking the truth. And because I feel like I'm speaking the truth, it gives me confidence. It gives me confidence to know, like, I can handle any sort of conversation. I can handle anybody's bullshit. Go ahead and bring it. And I you know, and I want to, like, I want to share it. You know, I feel like, oh, I have a secret. I found out some cool shit. You guys should know this. And it's interesting how, you know, like with religious people, if you try to talk to them about why they're religious, they get mad. What do you mean, why do I believe in God? Like, dude, yeah, you believe in this thing that like, it's crazy how people will be like, yeah, dude, I've had my prayers answered. Absolutely. This one time, I needed a job really bad, and so I prayed for it. And the job I didn't think I was going to get, I ended up getting it. So, you know, how's that? How's that happen? It's like, dude, you got the job because you impressed the people. God didn't do that. God didn't pick you over the guy with, you know, 4 kids who's desperately needs the job but came in a dirty suit, so he turned the people off. Like you're stupid. You're fucking stupid. And you're arrogant. That's the thing. It's so interesting how the news of Christianity is that it's the absence of ego, when the reality is you have to be the most egotistical to be a Christian. If you believe the God that makes the universe work is busy worried about your stupid little fucking problems and your stupid little life, and, you know, he's answering your questions, but you know the people that are being violated, the kids that are being raped by the church, not praying as hard as you, or, you know, God doesn't answer prayers. God answers tithing and, you know, all this shit. Like, it's strange to me how difficult it is that if you thought you were right, why do you have such a hard time talking about it? You know, I feel like I'm right. I want to share it with the world. And the other thing is, like, I'm not married to any of it. If you can show me that I'm wrong about something, I'll be like, oh shit, I'm wrong. Okay, now I have a whole new fucking rabbit hole to dig into. You know, being wrong doesn't bother me. Being tricked is what bothers me. Being duped is what bothers me. Being shown a bunch of churches and castles and pyramids and all kinds of shit and being told, well, we don't know how they built them, but we know about a conversation that was had between this person and that person. You know, that takes me into the Bible. It's one of my favorite points in the Bible, and I've never ever heard anybody else talk about it. But my ultimate question when it comes to the Bible is like who was there writing all the shit down? You know, when you're talking about Lot, right? So one of my favorite stupid ass, you know, you're an idiot stories is Sodom and Gomorrah, right? The whole Sodom and Gomorrah gay guys are bad story. That story is so fucking, like, how anyone hears that story and goes, fuck yeah, I want to believe in this thing. It's just a testament to how stupid we are. It's a testament to how easily brainwashed we are. Because that story is fucking awful. That story seemingly perpetuates, really, really pushes the idea that incest is okay. And like father-daughter incest is okay. And it's especially okay if the father's so drunk he doesn't quite remember it. Like it's such a fucked up story. Just start to finish, it's fucked up. But there's this one point where the two daughters are hatching their little scheme for how they're going to get their father drunk and essentially rape him. Like my neighbor said, oh, you mean the story where the girls raped their father? Yeah, that story. While they're hatching their plan, they're having a conversation with each other. And are there little fairy scribes or some shit flying around writing everything they said down? How do we know what the fuck they said? Who was writing all that shit down? Who wrote down what Adam and God talked about? The whole, you know, kicked out of the fucking Garden of Eden story. The whole Genesis bullshit. Who wrote all that shit down? Right? Did Adam, at the end of each day, you know, write down what him and God talked about and keep it in a fucking book that was apparently passed on to somebody else? Passed it to some, like, oh, are these just the oral traditions that are just passed down? And like, do you not realize how stupid all that shit is? It's wild, man. It's wildly stupid. Morning. And the fact they have black people believe in it. Black people believe in Christianity is mind-blowing. It's just how they got that to happen. But again, morning. Like I'm telling my young black friend here the other day, you know, they've tricked you. They've tricked black people into committing crimes because words get mentioned. You know, a word is said and black people run out and commit a crime. How fucked up is that? All the dumb white person has to do that's losing an argument or you know, I mean, you have to figure, like, for somebody to go into that well, you know, the only time I'm ever called nigger is by trolls, desperate trolls who have, you know, they were trying to, they're texting me or something or whatever, but they can't debunk or argue with anything I have to say. So, you know, they resort to this desperate attempt that because I'm supposed to be hurt by it.
Why aren't you in school? Jordan.
I'm supposed to be hurt when they say that shit. That's how white people have been programmed. White people have been programmed to believe. Jordan. Jordan.
Oh, I ain't had school today. I forgot alternative. You choose come or not. Nobody was there. So I'm like, I'm not about to.
White people have been programmed that if you say nigger to black people, they're going to get mad and they're going to respond in a way that you want them to. And, you know, you can thank Spike Lee for this bullshit. Again, Spike Lee is one of these people where if you try to figure out, like, his narrative, he's just sort of this guy that somehow went to this prestigious school, this black guy that went to this prestigious school and then was somehow given the mantle that he's going to be the guy that makes the black people films. And he's going to be this like, he's not a person that anybody would emulate. His style, his, you know, his mannerisms, anything about, nothing about him is stuff that anybody would emulate. That hood nigga character, he created. That was him. And most of you don't realize it, but that movie, Do the Right Thing, you can pinpoint a tremendous shift in black culture with Do the Right Thing. Because suddenly, you know, the idea of stepping on someone's shoe, and so you accidentally step on someone's shoe, so now they want to fight. Like, that is some ignorant, stupid shit. Nigger means ignorant. So if you're gonna act the part and then get mad when it's said to you, like, again, how ignorant is that? And that's what they've done. They've shown black people that they're supposed to, you know, Radio Raheem walking around with his big radio on his shoulder, turned up as loud as it can be, walking into, and if you tell him, hey man, you mind turning that down? Well, now he's gonna flash on you. Like, that shit is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Why all the insecure white person has to do is call you a nigger, and you'll go to jail because you'll try to fight, you'll assault them, you'll do something. Now you're in jail, you lose your house, you lose your job, you lose all these things, and white person gets rid of you. They needed to fill up the prisons, right? The prison industrial complex. There's that famous Crazy Bone interview where he talks about how he went to that meeting and there were a lot of producers there and shit. You know the crazy thing? If you go back, look on YouTube. If you go back and you Google or you YouTube, there was a documentary made in Rikers Island in like the early 80s. And they interviewed a bunch of different inmates and whatnot. And if you weren't watching it, if you were just listening, a lot of times you wouldn't be able to tell the black people from the white people because everybody sort of sounded the same. Sure, they had this guy here and there, but that shit doesn't fly in prison. But like if you interview, like you watch any prison, you watch any prison documentary, talk to the guys that have been there for 40, 50 years, they'll even tell you there's something wrong with this new generation. I mean, yeah, it's prison, but this new generation of nothings, of idiots, of proud to be niggas, like that mentality is just destroying shit. What the next generation of black people is going to be is kind of scary. Scary, man. You know? And it's all by design. The Jews who control everything. The thing is, white people don't realize it. Like, white people see it with black people. They see the nigga character and all that shit, and they oh, I can't believe it. Tisk, tisk, tisk. But you don't realize that they did the same thing to you guys. Instead of the nigga, it was the redneck. The whole redneck, you know, that whole character was created by the Jews in Hollywood. If they showed it to you enough times, you picked it up. That's been proven. You know, I watched this episode of Lucy the other day. I hate the show. I don't even know why. I hate the show, but I watch it all the time because it's like this fascinating window into a time before now. You know, how the explaining how our parents got to be the way they were, because this is the shit they were watching. And so on the Lucy show, there's a young Carol Burnett sort of making her, you know, I don't know if it's her television debut or whatever, but she's young. She hasn't had the Carol Burnett show yet. And of course, the character she plays is a dumb yokel, doo-ka-doo-ka-doo. Oh, look at me, I'm just some dumb hick. You know, the whole thing, if you look up the history of bluegrass, hillbilly music, country music, whatever, originally, when this shit first started to take off, it was played by professional, classically trained musicians who weren't allowed to be on the radio for playing bluegrass unless they adopted the personalities. There's a Ken Burns documentary about it, the history of bluegrass. And they flat out tell you, the Jews that ran the show wouldn't let just regular white people make bluegrass. You had to put on blue jeans and put some black shit teeth and talk like this. I fucking my sister. Do. That was a creation. If you watch one of the longest running shows in television history, Hee Haw, again, it's all a bunch of Jews who don't talk like that, who aren't Southern hillbillies, who are pushing that hillbilly stereotype. It's crazy. I live in Michigan. I live in Redford, and there are so many white people here in Redford that talk like they're from the South. They've never been to the South before. They've been here their whole lives. Where the fuck did that accent come from? They chose it. You know, it's given to us, and then we choose to adopt it. I think I could do, like, if I had the right people with me, and if I had a Ken Burns with me, I think we could make one hell of a documentary on how the Jews have used the media since the beginning to control the people. Going all the way back to the production codes of the 30s and shit. That term beard, you know, when a gay man and a lesbian woman get married, that's all because of Hollywood. That's because in the 30s, the government, East Coast Hollywood, which back then, a lot of the shit was made. That's why, like, if you watch those old shows like the Danny Thomas Show or Make Room for Daddy, whatever, or like the Milton Berle Show, or any of those old shows, they were all in New York high-rises because most of that shit was filmed in New York back then. There's two Hollywoods. There's the entertainment Hollywood, which is the West Coast Hollywood, and then there's the informational Hollywood, the one that controls the news and stuff like that, and that's East Coast Hollywood. And most news comes from the East Coast. And in the 30s, Hollywood had been sort of left alone. And again, this is something we just don't talk about. Hollywood, California, back in the 1900s, late 1800s, like this is frontier Indian time. So where did these Jews, where did they come from? They say that Hollywood was founded by 4 or 5 Jews that all come from the same 500-mile area in Europe. But you think like, okay, so they somehow immigrated to the East Coast. They went through Ellis Island with their families, blah, 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 supposedly. They did what they could on the East Coast, and somehow they're like, fuck it, this isn't good enough. They got in their wagons. They trekked across the country on roads that didn't exist and made it to California, where they somehow bought up all the premium real estate and then created Hollywood. And, you know, again, it's when you look at like the history of places like MGM and Paramount and all that shit, it all basically starts around 1900. And it just sort of starts. There's no like, oh, there was this great, you know, somebody found the camera and they thought, oh, it's going to be great. So then they built up all these studios and all these other things. And no. Like I think it's what is it? It's the Warner Brothers. The Warner Brothers, their story is that they somehow just sort of had a projector. They were here on the East Coast. They somehow had a projector, and they somehow got the rights to films that other people weren't given the rights to. And they would go around to all these different theaters and use their projector and use to show movies and charge people. Well, who built all the theaters? Where were these theaters? If this is a new technology, then what were these theaters used for prior to that? You know, like the story of the how Hollywood came into existence, it doesn't exist. You would think there would be multiple movies and documentaries and famous Golden Globe winning, Oscar winning, films about the creation of Hollywood, but it doesn't exist. As a matter of fact, you're told that during the early ages of Hollywood, that Jews had to change their names and hide their identities. And it's like, well, from who? Because Jews ran Hollywood. Jews were all the studio heads and all that shit. They were all Jews. So who were the Jews hiding their identities from? Us? But the production codes came out because Hollywood had been, I mean, it's always been the town where people like to dress up in makeup and costumes and shit and pretend to be other people. Well, that's always been something that has attracted gay men and gay people. So Hollywood's always been that way. And so in the 30s, East Coast Hollywood, because Hollywood had been making so many movies about the gangster character. See, God damn it. So when they did the whole prohibition bullshit, and they needed, and they were using so people don't realize the Jews controlled prohibition. The Purple Gang was here in Detroit, and the alcohol that was supplied to the rest of the country came through Detroit, came from Canada through Detroit, and it was controlled by the Purple Gang. Supposedly the most ruthless gang out there. Why? Because they're a bunch of Jews who look at the rest of us like we're nothing, and they don't care about killing us, which is what they did. So this whole idea of a Jewish mafia really started to gain traction, and they needed to distract the people. So what they did was the Jews in East Coast Hollywood, West Coast Hollywood got together, and they worked with the Italians, and they said, look, we'll give you free reign to control the crime throughout all these areas. You keep the shit out of the Jewish neighborhoods. It's all they are. They just keep the drugs, keep the prostitutes, keep it all out of the Jewish neighborhoods, and keep the Jewish neighborhoods protected, and you'll be able to do your Godfather thing. And that's where that whole thing came from. That's not an Italian concept. They're not like that. They weren't like that in Italy. And even then, Italy in the 1800s wasn't the Italy that it is now. So the whole history is so fucked up. But they started making all of these films portraying Italian gangsters in a Robin Hood sort of light, making them look like good guys. And eventually the Italian gangsters got too powerful. And when the gangsters got too powerful, the East Coast Hollywood Jews created something called the production codes in the 30s, which said that, one, all cops in all these cops always have to be portrayed as the winner. You can't make movies anymore where the bad guys win. The cops always have to win. And the other thing, one of the other things, was that gays couldn't be used anymore. So gays couldn't be used in films portraying, anyone. So they ran around real quickly and married all the gay men and women together, and that's where that term beard comes from. But these production codes went into effect at the same time that Hollywood switches to, what's really funny? When little kids are doing adult things. Isn't that funny? You know what Shirley Temple's first movie was called? It was called Baby Burlesque. And she was 4 years old, and she was portraying a burlesque dancer, and it was about her interactions with another kid who was 4 years old, portraying an old miser type with his top hat and all that shit. Because, a 4-year-old playing a burlesque dancer is funny, right? So at a time when we're told gay is bad and cops always have to win, and it's all about the moral compass, the focus on like Little Rascals and all these shows about orphans and all this shit like that starts coming up, and that becomes the big Hollywood blockbuster. It's all right there. It's all right there for you to see, and then you can watch it transition throughout the decades, and then you watch as the 80s come around, and the notion of separation, black and white separation, is starting to crack. And they can no longer, they've given us TV, and they've let us see, like, they've let more so black people see that white people are basically the same as them. They live basically the same way, and we're not completely different, especially on the poor side of things. And so a lot of that racial shit starts to sort of disappear, but they need to combat that. And again, what most people don't realize is that, like, up until the 2000s, and it's still that way to this day, like here in Michigan, right? There was this radio station called 89X, the new rock alternative, and it was the cool station my whole life, 88.7. And the thing about 88.7 is they would play all kinds of shit, Korn and 311 and whatever. But they would even play rap songs as long as it was the Beastie Boys or Eminem or Kid Rock. For some strange reason, they played their music. Just like for some strange reason, the black stations, the rap stations, they don't play Beastie Boys. They don't play Kid Rock. They very rarely play Eminem. They play certain Eminem songs, but like he doesn't get the love you would think he would, being from Detroit. And that's how it's. But in the 70s and shit, it was way more segregated. Like what most of you again don't realize is if you go watch BET from the 90s, if you're a white person and you go watch episodes of BET from the 90s, you won't recognize 80% of the top 10. You'll be like, who the fuck are all these singers and shit? I never heard of these people. because it was separated like that on purpose. And then in the late 80s, rap started to take off. And rap, again, didn't start to take off. It was given. It was given. The first rap song is the Sugar Hill Gang. The Sugar Hill Gang, which is basically a boy band put together by a woman, boxing promoter. I think she was a former singer as well. But she put together the Sugar Hill Gang. And what it is, Sugar Hill, so you know that's coke. But what it is it's a bunch of fucking idiot black guys rapping about eating fucking, macaroni tastes like wood. It's just nonsense. It's a bunch of, at some point he's going to the hip hop, the hibbity hop hop. Hip hop, he's rocking it, don't stop, rocking it, bang bang, boogie it up the boogie to the rhythm of the boogity bee. What the fuck does that mean? It's just nonsense. It's stupid. And they stole the chic beat, that doom doom doom, that shit. They stole that shit. The Niles Rogers said he was at a bar, and he thought he heard his song come on, and all of a sudden he hears this weird fucking speaking going on over his shit, and he's like, what the fuck? But you look at what rap was. Run DMC just comes out of nowhere. Run DMC was terrible. Are you kidding me? Run DMC is dumb. And you have Run DMC who is their thing is to have they don't wear shoelaces for all of those poor people out there that can't afford shoelaces. What? Anybody can find a string. You might not be able to afford shoes, but shoelaces anybody can make work. No, what it is if you tell black people not to wear their shoes or not to lace up their shoes, then when you catch them out in the middle of somewhere and you want to fuck with the cops and you want to ID them or whatever, and they go to run, now they're going to run out of their shoes. They're going to leave evidence behind. They're going to fall down. Same thing with sagging your pants. You ever see a dumbass try to run with his pants sagging? Holding this shit, looking like legs all spinning around like wheels. It's all by design. The thing that they didn't expect was that it would leach into the white community so well, that young white men would gravitate towards, when you really think about it, like rap music went from, hey, this is what it's like in our hood, it's bad, it's tough here, blah, 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 to niggas kill bitches, niggas do drugs, kill each other, niggas kill each other, niggas kill each other. And they have everybody nodding, yup, that's right, yup, niggas kill, yup, And that's what they did. They needed to fill the prisons. So they pushed out, like, if you think about it, it's literally some of the worst. Ange Tucker. It's some of the worst when you listen to rap songs and you hear this shit, like you could even take it the other way. One of the biggest rap groups, white rap groups of all time, is ICP. What do those idiots talk about? They're psychotic killer clowns who like to fuck dead bodies and shit like that. That's some fucked up, weird, nasty shit. But that's what you're allowed to hear. That's how it's allowed to work. Those are the rap songs that are allowed to be out for everyone to hear, because who controls the music? Who controls the radio? Who controls the record contracts? Who gives out the record contracts that allow idiots to make music? The Jews. It's the same thing. You go back to the 60s and you look at this whole counterculture movement, right? Where you have all these bands whose, if you look, you come to find out all the parents of those bands, Crosby, Stills, and Nash, their parents are all FBI agents, CIA agents. Jim Morrison's dad was the admiral on the ship used in the Gulf of Tonkin. The proven false flag Gulf of Tonkin.
I don't even want to go in there.
I know. But see, it's good. If it was a great place and it was fun, then you wouldn't want to leave. So stupid. So stupid. You know, this is, you look at the 60s and Jim Morrison's dad, and like, nobody ever asks, okay, so this counterculture movement with all of these musicians making songs that go against the government. Well, who, like, the government doesn't play that shit. So, who's giving out all of these record contracts to these people making these anti-government songs? Who's controlling the record contracts? Who gave NWA the record contract and then said, hey, let's put them on MTV riding around in a Jeep or I can't remember an ice cream truck, but a Jeep, or riding around with machine guns, whatever it is. Can't quite remember what it was, but you know, all the white kids coming home from school turn on MTV, and Yo MTV Raps is like, hey, look at these really cool gangster black guys with their guns and their fuck the police, and of course that's gonna be sexy. Who's not gonna fucking go towards that? Especially not rebellious teenagers who, you know, hate the system and hate their parents and all that other shit. Nobody ever asks those questions. Who are the Jews that made all the money? I was watching this documentary on American Gladiators. What killed American Gladiators? And if you hear the story of American Gladiators, there's actually a documentary on it, and they actually were able to get both sides of it. And so on one side you have the gladiators, the athletes, who were required to do unthinkable shit. And the, you know, the lack of medical help, that no insurance and all this other shit, like the shit was shit, I forgot what I was talking about. Oh, American Gladiators. They literally, if you watch the thing, the Jews are on this thing talking about, like they just feel that they made millions and millions of dollars. They crippled these people. They gave them no health insurance, no benefits. They barely paid them, you know, all these things. And they're like, yeah, we didn't do anything wrong. That's the attitude. Well, we provided them the opportunity to, it's not our fault they got hurt. It's not our fault that they became drug addicts so they could handle their fucking rigorous schedule and the pain and all that shit because they were getting hurt all the time. Like, they literally say these things. It's so telling to see that that's exactly how it is. That's how they see us. That's what they see when they look at us. You know, we're the racehorses that break down in the middle of the race, so they just euthanize us, and the next day they have another racehorse there. That's how they see us. We're goyim. We're no better than the dogs and the cats and the chairs and the fucking trees and all of it. Anything that's not Jewish is goyim. We're here for their use, for their disposal. And, you know, again, it's always funny to me because at the end of the day, if you watch my videos, you're not going to see anybody coming in telling me I'm wrong. People might get mad. People might, you know, or they might tell me I am wrong. But they never tell me what I'm wrong about. You'll never see anyone in the comments taking me to school in any sort of way. It's interesting, right? I'm saying some pretty controversial shit. You know, you look at the rap scene today. These terrible artists being signed, Young Pump or Lil Pump. This mumble rap bullshit. These idiots with fucking tattoos all over their face, and you know, these effeminate men who portray an image that nobody in the real world is allowed to be. You can't be what the fuck is his name? Young Thug. You can't be Young Thug in real life and get a job, support your family. You know, you're not going to be a fucking rapper. You're not. I mean, again, unless you're willing to do the things. I heard somebody telling a story once about it. And he says, he says, what happens is you get that phone call that Def Jam wants to have a meeting with you or whoever it is. And so you being the nothing, nobody you are, you're out of your mind excited. And they fly you out first class. And they pick you up in the limo. And when you get there, Dr. Dre or whoever it is just happens to be there. And he's heard your tape and he really likes that shit. And can't wait to work with you. And I'll see you around. Like, you feel like you're just amazing. And they say, you know, hey, you know, it's after business hours or whatever for the day. You know, we got you out here. Why don't we handle business tomorrow? Tonight we'll go out, we'll have some fun. You'll see what it's like to be a real rock star. And you're like, oh my God, I'm a poor piece of shit. I can't pay my bills. I can't believe this is happening. And they take you to a fancy restaurant. And the whole time, the people are bending over backwards. You've heard about it, but you never experienced it. And they have the whole thing all, you know, all the people that you end up seeing, they're all sort of in on it. They know the routine. They know oh, Mr. Who's it? Who's your guest tonight, sir? Oh, yes. Oh, I think I've heard of his stuff. He's really, really good. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. You know, and they just butter you up, and you're just having the time of your fucking life. And they take you out to the club that night, and you cannot believe you're in the VIP section with insert name, and you know, you're drinking and you're having a good time and you're smoking and you're doing whatever, and then you wake up and you're like, what the alarm's going off. It's been going off, but you slept through it. What the hell's going on? In your hotel room, in your lavish, fucking beautiful hotel room. And you're like, how did I get to my hotel room? Oh, I must have been drinking too much. Man, I hope I didn't make a fool of myself. Oh shit, I'm supposed to be at the thing. I gotta what time is it? And you see, oh my God, you know, the alarm's going off, I'm late. And you hurry up and you get yourself dressed and you get yourself down and now there's no limo to pick you up. Now you got to take a taxi and you got to pay for it. Kind of weird. Oh well, they'll pay me back. Whatever, it's no biggie. And you get to the building and instead of it being like, oh hello Mr. So and so, now it's like, hello, please take a seat. Like, what the fuck, lady? Sally, you said you liked my CD yesterday. What's going on? Because you're walking in, hey everybody, and they're like, sir, can you please have a seat? But please can you have a seat, sir? And you're like, well, okay, whatever. So you're waiting, and now they finally bring you back in the room. Excuse me, sir. Mr. CEO will see you now. Mr. A&R rep will see you now. And you're like, okay, cool. And you get up, and you're all like bouncing. You go in there, and hey, what's up? And they're like, sir, can you please have a seat? And you're like, okay. You shake the hand, and you sit down, and you're like, where's all this love that I was getting yesterday? What the hell is going on? And in your head, you've already sort of, your head is already kicked in. Something is wrong. You're starting to think like you on the ride there, you were trying to remember like, what the fuck happened last night? I remember being at the club. What did I do? I don't even remember drinking that much. Man, what the fuck happened? No. You're sitting across from A&R rep who now he's cold. He's not all hugs and kisses and high fives and you're going to be the biggest thing in the world. He's not like that today. Today he's all business and he's cold. I'm like, wow, man, this is weird. But he pushes over a contract and you read it and it says, you're going to get 2 cents for every dollar sold. And they own your rights and likenesses throughout the universe for all of perpetuity in whatever regards. And you're like, what is it? What do you mean? You own my publishing? You basically own me. You own my name. You own my likeness. I can't do any gigs without you guys getting paid. And when you do, you get 90% of everything I make. What? No. Why would I ever? What the fuck is this? Why would I ever sign this deal? And they go, oh really? You're not gonna sign a deal, huh? Hey, push the button. And the lights go down and the TV turns on. And all of a sudden, you look up and on that TV, you see yourself, raping a child or raping a woman or, something where, you can clearly see that you're all fucked up. That's not really you doing it. That's something is going on here. What the fuck? I don't remember any of this. And they go, yeah, well, tapes don't lie. So you either sign this or we take this to the police. And now they own you. And you sign, and that's why so many fucking artists sign these horrible fucking deals. Because they're forced to. Their backs are against the wall. They're gonna, they're facing immeasurable odds. And now they're locked in, if your album sells well, we expect another album right away. As soon as your album doesn't sell well, you're gone. We don't give a shit. I mean, it's weird because you don't even hear from a lot of those guys anymore. Like, what happened to the Color Me Bad guys? They just go around doing old Color Me Bad songs here? Now, I would. I don't blame them for that, but like, where are all those guys? Where are all those guys that were big for a minute and then they disappeared? Color Me Bad was actually bigger. Where are like the, that song, the My lifestyle. Where'd that guy go? Where is he going to be in 50 years? You know, this whole thing is all this factory, this machine that eats and that just chews up young goyim, black, white, whatever. It zaps them. It squeezes them for everything they're worth, and then it drops them or it kills them. I mean, a lot of times they kill them. You know. The crazy part too is when you start looking into things, and you start just asking that simple question, like, I wonder if he's Jewish. And you'll find out, well, he might not be Jewish, but he's married to a Jew. Or he might not be Jewish, but his father is half Jewish. Or just there's so many weird little things like that where, you know, like Jake Paul, the Paul brothers. I forget which parent it is. I think it's the mother. The mother is half Jewish. Like, oh, okay. That makes sense then. At the end of the day, there's literally a genocide happening right now. And anybody that's not speaking out against the genocide is in the pocket. And the fact that there's not a lot of people speaking out against the genocide just goes to show you. It's a small club and you ain't in it. You're not going to be in it. Unless you're willing to do some really horrible shit, you're not in it. And it's amazing how much Jews have been caught doing these horrible things or in these horrible situations, and it's still not looked at like it's a cultural thing. When, you know, anytime multiple black guys get caught doing something, it's like, see, that's what they do. That's their people. They do that stuff. Raping and violating people and treating them like they are just products. That's a pretty standard Jewish thing. And when you look at their belief system, it fits. Why wouldn't they? You've been told your whole life you're special, you're chosen, you're here to rule us. That's why you're here. That's why we're here, is to be ruled by you. 13, you're a man. You know? And you see it. You see your inferior species, your inferior, you know, group is somehow in control of everything. You know, it can't be physical. You know, it's definitely not based on looks or even intelligence, because they're not very smart. I promise you, man. I know, like, a lot of the most prominent smart people are Jews, but it's it's because of their control. It's because they have the ability to, you know, your Einsteins, to works in a patent office, somehow becomes the poster boy smart guy, even though other super smart guys like Tesla called him a fucking fraud. I don't know. I don't know how much of Tesla I even believe, because I don't believe any of this shit, man. The truth is, as soon as you start opening that Tartaria can of worms, it has to change your perspective on history. It has to. Because it just, the narrative we've been given can't be accurate if Tartaria is even, not if, with Tartaria being accurate. I mean, it's, you know, the time when blacks are supposed to be slaves and Native American genocides are supposed to be happening. Like, you know, they pose for all these pretty pictures, but you look at maps, you read supposed accounts of what's going on, and it was TP, please. It was
Wall of dogs.
right. It was all you know, it's all mud huts. It's all, but like, you know, the 1800s is when the World's Fairs were taking place. These it just none of it makes sense. We either live in slavery days, Wild West times, and old Western towns, and all that little fake-looking shit, or we had the well-documented World's Fairs. Which one is it? It's not both.
What's this?
Internet cord. All right, cord. Yeah, internet cord.
You're not flat.
I don't know, man. I think it's also... See, again, I start talking about it, but I feel irresponsible. At the end of the day, and I say this all the time, and my wife doesn't like that I say it. She says I'm a jerk, but I think I'm a better person than you are. I think I'm a better person than most of you are. And I can say that confidently because I'm willing to say things knowing I'm not allowed to, but knowing they're the right things to say. And especially when it comes to Israel and all that stuff. There's literally no justification for anything Israel. It's all really fucking stupid. And as soon as you take the biblical aspect out of it, I mean, even with the biblical aspect, the thing that I never understand is like, have you read the Bible? You know, the Jews aren't necessarily the best people in the Bible. You know, it's the children of Abraham that are like the main antagonists to Jesus in the Bible. So, how did they get to be God's chosen people? It's just so stupid. I mean, I don't even know how to approach the situation. I always thought as I got older I would have more of an understanding of it, but I don't. Like the only thing I can sort of wrap my head around, kind of, is that people are scared of what's going to happen when they die, so they willingly partake in a fairy tale just to make themselves feel better. And really, at the end of the day, I stand by the fact that I don't think, like, I think most of you that claim to be Christian, I don't think you really believe what you say you do. You're not really Christian. You want to be Christian. You like the idea of going to heaven, but all the other parts that have to do with being Christian, you're not really cool with that. You know, I think, you know, especially the fact that people can't even talk about it, right? Like, if you were, like, it's always strange to me that the response that I get from people when it's like, well, I know you don't believe it anyway, so I'm not going to talk about it with you. Like, why? Well, you're just gonna try to find holes in everything and yada yada yada. And it's like, for me, again, I think, well, if you're a believer in the thing, you should be looking for the holes more than I do. If you're gonna subscribe to it, if you're going to say, okay, this is my thing, I believe in this, I'm a Christian, I am a Muslim, whatever, I'm spiritual, I'm whatever. If you're going to say that, then you should be more concerned with the holes in your story than I am. That's always the thing that I find so strange, is that people will use that excuse that because I don't believe it and they don't think that I'm going to change my mind, then they're not going to talk to me about it. Because all I'm going to do is shit on it. Well, like again, I encourage you guys to do that. I encourage you to do it open-mindedly. If you're gonna shit on everything I believe in, I will, I promise you that I will give it my best shot to try to convince you otherwise. But you have to be able to say that if I say something that goes against you, that you can't debunk, you can't answer for, that you'll acknowledge it. And that's the part that's always so hard to make happen. People love to, like, one of the things people love to do is say their piece and then bounce. Look, I don't have time to talk about this. I just think that da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Have a good day. It's like, well, that's not really fair now, is it? But that's the thing. If you were confident in what you believed, you wouldn't worry if somebody else believed it. You'd be confident that you can convince them. And that's my position on the way I think about things. If you are willing and to could be wrong, willing to see something differently, and give me the chance, I believe that I can convince you that there's something else going on. I believe that I can convince you that the Jews are the bad guys. That's something that will take a long time, maybe. But the truth is, you know what it actually comes down to? It's more of a thing where I can convince you that it's okay for you to think the Jews are the bad guys. Because the truth is, we all already do. Everybody already, you've known the Jews were the bad guys. You've heard your grandparents, your parents, we all know, we got yesterday and whatnot. The conspiracy isn't hidden. We all know the truth. We all know God. We know that. It's really, really obvious. You pray your best for dinner to show up to your house tonight. And we'll see how that works out. You can't tell anybody, because there'll be the Christian that'll bring you the dinner just to prove the point. But I bet you they won't bring you dinner every day. But I think at the end of the day, like, we all know, everybody knows everybody knows the government is corrupt. Politicians are corrupt. Everybody knows that Hollywood is full of pedophiles. Everybody knows that the Jews control Hollywood. Everybody knows that the Jews control the government. Everybody knows the Jews control the media. Everybody knows these things. We just don't feel like we feel like it's not okay that we say it. That's it. That's where the hang up is. We've been told it's not okay if we say these things, so we don't. And instead, it's funny too, because we're told, okay, you need to figure out what the problem is. So then we figure it out. We go, the problem is the Jews. And they go, no, you can't say that. And you go, but I'm supposed to figure out the problem. And they go, yeah, you still have to figure out the problem, but you can't say that. And you're like, well, am I wrong? And they go, listen, you just can't say it. And you go, yeah, but everything points to the Jews. No, 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 you can't say that. And you're going, but yeah, but why? And they go, you just can't, but come up with something. So you go, oh, well, shit, it's the devil? And they go, there you go, it's the devil. See, yep, it's the devil. Oh, man, yeah, you can say that. That's okay. And people go, oh, okay, I guess I'll say that then. The synagogue of Satan? No, you can't say that. Oh. Well, the Bible's all talk. No. In the 80s, we forgave because I know. Yes, Jews killed Jesus. Yada yada yada. That was forgiven in the 80s. So can't play that card anymore. Oh, okay. So so it's the devil. Then how do we fight the devil? Like we can't stop giving money to the devil and power to the devil. So how do we do that? No, that's weird, huh? Guess you have to figure something else out. Oh, you know what? If it's the devil is the, you know what you need? You need an equally powerful good guy character, right? So to beat the imaginary devil, you're going to need the imaginary hero. So here, you just keep going in your house and praying that Jesus comes to fight the ultimate fight for you, instead of us just unifying and ousting the Jews that control the thing, right? To be 18, I'd give anything. He wants to be a rapper. I told him he's not gonna be, but if he wants to be, he needs to put it all in. Do it all. Focus 100% of your effort on being a rapper, because if you don't, you're not gonna succeed. So hopefully he's done it. You guys, we need to fight. Well, we need to unify. We need to unify. Unification is the key. I'd prefer it if we didn't have to fight. I prefer it if there wasn't some war that cost lives on either side. I'd really prefer it if the average Jew said, you know what, this is supremacy and I want nothing to do with it anymore. I'm on Team Goyim from now on. That would be really great. I don't want anybody to die, other than pedophiles. I think pedophiles all need to die. Like that should be the thing. You get caught fucking with children, we kill you. I bet if that was the thing, there'd be a lot less curious, You're still gonna have your full-fledged sickos, but that guy that real desperate and lonely and finds himself talking to a 14-year-old that sounds like she's 30, like there'll be a lot less of those guys. I don't know. I for the life of me, I can't understand why we're not. Like why the United States, why the people of the United States isn't completely unified in our condemnation of Israel and the U.S.'s association with Israel. And then, I answer it for myself. God's chosen people. It's why religion is so bad.
because there's always, there's all this secondary and hidden and like, as a result of stuff that comes from religion that people don't think about. And one of the main worst things is Israel, because of the Bible, because of the religious stupidity. Jews are become God's chosen people, and then most people, as soon as they hear Israel, they hear, it takes them to that biblical place, and then it just, oh, okay, well, that's whatever that wants to do, it's fine, because it's biblical, it's God, it's Jesus, it's, it's essentially my eternal salvation, because that's the brilliance of it. They've tied the average person's eternal salvation into the survival of Israel. You realize how stupid people are going to fall for that? Of course they are. They're stupid, and they already believe in the Bible and all this other shit. They've already given so much into it. You tell them, hey, you could lose all of that if this place that has nothing to do with you and all this other, if anything bad happens here, all of your stuff goes away too. It's brilliant. It's not true. That's the thing. It's just not true. God, it's strange. It's so strange that people believe this shit. Again, so many people believe it, and they strongly believe it. So much so that they can't take anybody else talking negative or asking questions or not believing this, as they believe it so strongly that they can't take any criticism. Just seems so. That's not how strength works. That's not. It's like, I'm so strong I can't lift anything up, but I'm super strong, trust me. Like, what? I'm not going to believe you. You're strong in your faith. I'm a strong, proud woman of God, blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, can we have a conversation about it? Are you strong enough to handle the fact that somebody else doesn't believe the way you do and might have questions? Because I doubt it. Anyway, I guess I'm done, man. I didn't even want to be here this long, but it seemed like there was people watching for a minute. I thought people were going to get involved, but they never did. Well, other than Vidra. But, yeah. It'd be a whole lot more fun if other people would come in and tell me what I'm wrong about. Leads me to believe I'm not wrong. Anyway. You guys have a wonderful day, and you pedophiles, kill yourself.